Welcome to the session on management styles and approaches of management. Managers have to perform many roles in an organization, and how they handle various situations will depend on their style of management. A management style is an overall method of leadership used by a manager. Here are the various important management styles: autocratic, consultative, persuasive, democratic, chaotic, and MBWA. Let us examine each one of them. Autocratic. An autocratic management style is one where the manager makes decisions unilaterally and without much regard for subordinates. As a result, decisions will reflect the opinions and personality of the manager, which in turn can project an image of a confident, well-balanced business. On the other hand, strong and competent subordinates may annoy because of the limits on decision-making freedom. The organization will get limited initiatives from those on the front line, and turnover among the best subordinates will be higher. There are two types of autocratic leaders. A directive autocrat makes decisions unilaterally and closely supervises subordinates. A permissive autocrat makes decisions unilaterally but gives subordinates latitude in carrying out their work. Consultative. This method is more paternalistic form, also essentially dictatorial. However, decisions do take into account the best interest of the employees as well as the business. Communication is again generally downward, but feedback to the management is encouraged to maintain morale. This style can be highly advantageous when it engenders loyalty from the employees, leading to a lower labor turnover, thanks to the emphasis on social needs. On the other hand, for an autocratic management style, the lack of worker motivation can be typical if no loyal connection is established between the manager and the people who are managed. It shares disadvantages with an autocratic style, such as employees becoming dependent on the leader. Persuasive. A persuasive management style involves the manager sharing some characteristics with that of an autocratic manager. The most important aspect of a persuasive manager is that they maintain control over the entire decision-making process. The most prominent difference here is that the persuasive manager will spend more time working with their subordinates in order to try to convince them of the benefits of the decision that have been made. A persuasive manager is more aware of their employees, but it would be incorrect to say that the persuasive style of management is more inclusive of the employees. Just as there are occasions where the use of an autocratic management style would be appropriate, there are also instances where a company will benefit from a persuasive management style. For example, if a task that needs to be completed but it is slightly complicated, it may be necessary to rely upon input from an expert. In such a situation, the expert may take time to explain to others why events are happening in the order in which they will occur, but ultimately the way in which things are done will be that person's responsibility. In those circumstances, they are highly unlikely to delegate any part of the decision-making process to those who are lower down in the hierarchy. Democratic. In a democratic style, the manager allows the employees to take part in decision-making. Therefore, everything is agreed upon by the majority. The communication is extensive in both directions, from employees to leaders and vice versa. This style can be particularly useful when complex decisions need to be made that require a range of specialist skills. For example, when a new ICT system needs to be put in place and the upper management of the business is computer illiterate. From the overall business point of view, job satisfaction and quality of work will improve, and participatory contributions from subordinates will be much higher. However, the decision-making process could be severely slowed down unless decision processes are streamlined. The need for consensus may avoid taking the best decision for the business unless it is managed or limited. As with the autocratic leaders, democratic leaders are also two types, that is, permissive and directive. Chaotic. A very modern style of management. Chaotic management gives the employees total control over the decision-making process. Some modern companies have adopted this style of management and in return have become some of the most influential and innovative companies. MBWA. Management by walking around is a classic technique used by managers who are proactive listeners. Managers using this style gather as much information as possible so that a challenging situation doesn't turn into a bigger problem. Listening carefully to employees' suggestions and concerns will help evade potential crisis. MBWA benefits managers by providing unfiltered real-time information about processes and policies that is often left out of formal communication channels. By walking around, management gets an idea of the level of morale in the organization and can offer help if there is trouble. A potential concern of MBWA is that the manager will second guess employees' decisions. The manager must maintain his or her role as coach and counselor, not director. By leaving decision-making responsibilities with the employees, managers can be assured of the fastest possible response time. Approaches of management. The following are the different management approaches: empirical approach, human behavior approach, social system approach, decision theory approach, mathematical approach, SocioTechnical systems approach, contingency approach, and operational approach. Now, let us have a brief description of each of the above forms. Empirical approach. The empirical school of management bases its methods on a close study of past managerial experiences and management cases. As such, it is also known as case approach or management experience approach. According to this approach, management is considered a study of manager in practice. The intention of studying experience is to draw generalizations and to develop means to teaching experiences to other practitioners and students. Attempts are made to duplicate successful experiences while avoiding unsuccessful ones. This approach offers the most conventional way of acquiring skills in management, that is, learning through the experience of others. This method has certain limitation. This empirical approach, basing its generalization on cases and past experiences, has not contributed anything fundamental to the development of management as discipline because of obvious contradictions in various management experiences. Human behavior approach. The behavioral or social science approach developed as a corollary to the human relations approach. Social scientists and organization theorists are of the opinion that best results can be obtained by building theories of management and organization based on the findings of the behavioral sciences such as psychology, sociology, psychiatry, economics, cultural anthropology, and philosophy. Behavioral approach reflects the findings of intensive research carried out by behavioral scientists like Chester I. Bernard, Douglas McGregor, Chris Argyris, A. H. Maslow, Herzberg, Rensis Likert, etc. Many of the conclusions of the Hawthorne studies have been reaffirmed by subsequent research studies. Moreover, certain ideas have been refined, extended, and these behavior scientists have highlighted other important ideas. These scientists have tried to eliminate the exaggeration of the importance of informal relations. The focal point of management action is the behavior of human being in the organization. Management as a technical process only was given up. Basic assumptions of behavioral scientists. The behavioral science approach is based on certain assumptions about man and organization which may be looked upon as their propositions or statements of opinion or judgment also. Those may be outlined as follows. Organization is a socio-technical system involving people and technology as their primary components. The behavior of the members of an organization clearly affect both its structure and its functioning as well as the principles on which it can be managed. Individual's behavior is closely linked with and greatly influenced by the behavior of the group to which he belongs. A wide range of factors influence work and interpersonal behavior of people in the organization. Congruence or agreement between organizational goals and individual goals, organization's members would be established. Several individual differences in perceptions, aspirations, needs, feelings, abilities, and values of people exist in the organization. Such difference, along with their changing nature over periods of time, have to be recognized. Informal leadership, rather than the formal authority of supervisors, is more important for increase in employee performance. Democratic leadership style and participative managerial style encourage positive attitude of employee towards work and fosters high moral and initiative among them. By nature, most people enjoy work and are motivated by self-direction, self-control, and self-development. Conflict in organization may, to some extent, be inevitable and at times even desirable for development, innovation, and creativity in certain cases. Conflict and cooperation coexist in organizations. Conflicts are not to be suppressed but are to be resolved, and that too not always. Social system approach. The real pioneer of social system approach is Vilfredo Pareto, a sociologist. His ideas were later developed by Chester Bernard, who has really developed the concept of social systems approach management. According to this approach, the organization is essentially a culture system composed of people who work in cooperation. As such, for achieving organizational goals, a cooperative system of management can be developed only by understanding the behavior of people in groups. The social systems approach has real significance to the practicing managers in the sense that all managers operate a social system and the organization is likely to succeed if the demands of the society in which it operates is fully recognized. The approach, however, spreads the boundary and application of management beyond the true concept of organizations. Decision theory approach. The major emphasis of this approach is that decision making is the job of every manager. The manager is a decision maker and organization is a decision making unit. Therefore, the basic problem in managing is to make rational decision. This approach contributes to the sharpening of managerial tools, especially for making suitable decisions in the organization. The approach demonstrates how managers can discharge their functions effectively. Decision making is vital in every school of management. The vital aspect cannot be denied, but management is more than mere decision making unit. Mathematical or management science approach. Management science approach, also known as mathematical or quantitative measurement approach, visualizes management as a logical entity, the action of which can be expressed in terms of mathematical symbol relationships and measurement data. Management science approach is a fast developing one in analyzing and understanding management. This has contributed significantly in developing orderly thinking in management, which has provided exactness in management discipline. Various mathematical tools like sampling, linear programming, games theory, time series analysis, emulation, waiting line theory, etc. have provided more exactness in solving managerial problems. However, it is very difficult to call it a separate school of management because it does not provide the answer for the total managerial problems. Moreover, many managerial activities are not really capable of being quantified because of involvement of human beings who are governed by many irrational factors also. SocioTechnical systems approach. This approach believes that to solve organizational problems, it is not enough to look at the cooperative social systems alone, but technical systems, methods and machines, and how it affects and is affected by social systems and a technical system. The real pattern of behavior in the organization is determined by the interaction of the two. The major contribution of this approach is that while analyzing management problem of getting things done by people, adequate consideration should be given to technology as well as informal interaction of people. Thus, any change in technology must be viewed in subsequent change in social interactions at the workplace. However, this approach is more suitable for managing the problems at the shop floor level rather than handling the total management problems. Systems approach. This approach is of comparatively recent origin starting late 1950. It has assumed considerable importance in analyzing the phenomena of management. It is an integrating approach which considers management in its totality based on empirical data. The basic idea of systems approach is that any object must rely on a method of analysis involving simultaneous variations of mutually dependent variables. The implication of systems approach are given below. System approach of management provides an integrated approach of managing. This considers management in its totality. System approach possesses the conceptual level of managerial analysis much higher than any other approach. It provides a framework through which organization environment interaction can be analyzed and facilitates decision making, since the system within which managers make decisions can be provided as a more explicit framework. Decision making is easier to handle. It is often suggested that system approach is too abstract to be of much use to practicing managers. It merely indicates that various parts of the organization are interrelated. Contingency approach. The basic idea of contingency approach is that there cannot be a particular management action which will be suitable for all situations. Rather, an appropriate action is one which is designed on the basis of external environment and internal states and needs. Contingency approach tries to fill this gap by suggesting what should be done in response to an event in the environment. Contingency approach, on the other hand, suggests an active relationship between the variables in a situation and the managerial actions devised. The implications of contingency approach are given below. It is the sophisticated approach to understand the increasing complexity of organizations. It emphasizes the multivariate nature of organizations and attempts to understand how organizations operate under varying conditions. The approach is directed towards suggesting organizational designs and managerial actions most appropriate to specific situations. Operational approach. This approach attempts to draw together the pertinent knowledge of management by relating it to the functions of managers, commonly known as management process. As such, this approach is also known as management process approach. This approach views the management as a social process comprising of a series of actions leading to the accomplishment of certain objectives. The significance of operations approach is given below. Operational approach offers a broad, easy to understand conceptual framework of management. The approach includes the entire scope of management and recognizes it as a separate discipline. This approach suggests that management is a universal phenomena irrespective of the type of organizations or levels of an organization. Operational approach provides useful concepts for practicing managers. It helps the managers to put their knowledge to use. It offers practical suggestions by providing classification of managerial functions at first level into planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. Now let us summarize. In this session, we have discussed the different management styles and different management approaches. Even though autocratic, consultative, persuasive, democratic, chaotic and MBWA are different management styles, one manager can choose the best method which is suitable to him and his organization, or he can mix the best methods. Like that, even though empirical approach, human behavior approach, social system approach, decision theory approach, mathematical approach, socio-technical systems approach, systems approach, contingency approach and operational approach are different approaches, one can use the best method as his convenience. Here are some books for you. Principles of Management by L.M. Prasad, published by Sultan Chand and Sons, New Delhi. Library Administration and Management, authored by Krishan Kumar, published by Vikas Publishing House Limited, New Delhi. Management of Library and Information Centers, written by Kumar PSG, published by BR Publishing Corporation, New Delhi. Here are some questions. Identify the different management styles and give example of any organization and the management style they followed. Identify the different management approaches and give example of any organization and the management approach they followed. Thank you for watching this session. We'll meet again. Till then, bye.